on my phone up. Let's just try to get this done.
Welcome to the Burp Suite Other Modules room. In addition to the widely recognized repeater and intruder rooms, Burp Suite incorporates several lesser-known modules. These will form the focus of this room's exploration. The spotlight will be on the decoder, comparator, sequencer, and organizer tools. They facilitate operations with encoded text, enable comparison of data sets, allow the analysis of randomness within captured tokens, and help you store and annotate copies of HTTP messages that you may want to revisit later. Although these tasks appear straightforward, accomplishing them within Burp Suite can substantially save time, thus emphasizing the importance of learning to use these modules effectively. Without further ado, let's delve into the first tool, the decoder. The decoder module of Burp Suite gives user data manipulation capabilities. As implied by its name, it not only decodes data intercepted during an attack but also provides the function to encode our own data, prepping it for transmission to the target. Decoder also allows us to create hash sums of data, as well as providing a smart decode feature, which attempts to decode provided data recursively until it is back to being plain text, like the magic function of CyberChef. To access the decoder, navigate to the Decoder tab from the top menu to view the available options. This interface lays out a multitude of options. This box serves as the workspace for entering or pasting data that requires encoding or decoding. Consistent with other modules of Burp Suite, data can be moved to this area from different parts of the framework via the Send to Decoder option upon right-clicking. At the top of the list on the right, there's an option to treat the input as either text or hexadecimal byte values. As we move down the list, drop-down menus are present to encode, decode, or hash the input. The Smart Decode feature, located at the end, attempts to auto-decode the input.
Where's the send to decoder?
Encoding and decoding with decoder. Now, let's examine the manual encoding and decoding options in detail. These are identical whether the decoding or encoding menu is chosen. Looks like a real winner. Looks like a real winner. Looks like a real winner.
First
Looks like a real winner. What the hell is that, frog? Looks like a real winner. Oh, that's stupid, man. Everybody blowing me up. Let's see, man. Let's see. This is implemental encoding and decoding options in detail. They're identical whether the decoding encode as. So it'd be the same as decode as. I'm not reading that shit.
Plain. This refers to the raw text before any transformations are applied. URL. URL encoding is utilized to ensure the safe transfer of data in the URL of a web request. It involves substituting characters for their ASCII character code in hexadecimal format, preceded by a percentage symbol, %. This
what does that mean? URL what?
RL. URL encoding is utilized to ensure the safe transfer of data in the URL of a web request. It involves substituting characters for their ASCII character code in hexadecimal format, preceded by a percentage symbol, %. This method is vital for any type of web application testing. For instance, encoding the / character, / whose ASCII character code is 47, converts it to 2F in hexadecimal, thus becoming %2F in URL encoding. The decoder can be used to verify this by typing a / in the input box, then selecting encode as URL.
Huh. Where is it? Here, I want to see what the fuck they're talking about. I'm trying to see what I'm trying to understand that. I'm just waiting for it to load. Damn, come on, man. This shit ain't that slow. Where's my cat at? Smell like a wet dog, Toothless. You know that you smell like a wet dog. And she's like, what? Alright, let's see where we go. We're in the decoder. Okay.
HTML. HTML entities encoding replaces special characters with an ampersand, and followed by either a hexadecimal number or a reference to the character being escaped, and ending with a semicolon, winky face. This method ensures
I remember that tag. So center is no longer a thing. I don't know nothing about HTML no more. Why are my hands sticky, girl? Why are my hands sticky? My hands sticky.
HTML. HTML entities encoding replaces special characters with an ampersand, and, followed by either a hexadecimal number or a reference to the character.
What was nigga sending me?
HTML. HTML entities encoding replaces special characters with an ampersand, and, followed by either a hexadecimal number or a reference to the character being escaped, and ending with a semicolon, winky face. This method ensures the safe rendering of special characters in HTML and helps prevent attacks such as XSS. The HTML option in decoder allows any character to be encoded into its HTML escape format or decode captured HTML entities. For instance, to decode a previously discussed quotation mark, input the encoded version and choose decode as HTML.
You got base 64. Jesus.
Base 64. Base 64, a commonly used encoding method, converts any data into an ASCII-compatible format. The under-the-hood functioning isn't crucial at this stage, however, interested individuals can find the underlying mathematics here. ASCII hex, this option transitions data between ASCII and hexadecimal representations. For instance, the word ASCII can be converted into the hexadecimal number 41534344949. Each character is...
Okay, let's see. Huh.
converted from its numeric ASCII representation into hexadecimal. Hex, octal, and binary, these encoding methods apply solely to numeric inputs, converting between decimal, hexadecimal, octal, base 8, and binary representations. Zip. Zip compresses data, reducing file and page sizes before browser transmission. Faster load times are highly desirable for developers looking to enhance their SEO score and avoid user inconvenience. Decoder facilitates the manual encoding and decoding of zip data, although it often isn't valid ASCII/Unicode. For instance,
looks like a real winner. Looks like a real winner. Oh shit. Yeah, I don't understand the G-zip shit. What? No way. Larry. Encode as base64. Encode as hex. Encode as gzip, which can be encoded as binary. Fuck, you fucked that all up.
in combination, these methods grant us substantial control over the data we are encoding or decoding. Each encoding/decoding method is color-coded, enabling swift identification of the applied transformation. Hex format while inputting data in ASCII format is beneficial. There are times when byte-by-byte input editing is necessary. This is where hex view proves useful, selectable above the decoding options. This feature enables us to view and alter our data in hexadecimal byte format, a vital tool when working with binary files or other non-ASCII data. Smart Decode. Lastly, we have the Smart Decode option. This feature tries to auto-decode encoded text. For instance, B, U.
Huh. Yep, that's what it is. URL decode this data. Start with base 64 and then ASCII. Oops. I feel like that ain't copied already. Something right, hang on. That seems right. encode the string into octal. Okay. I didn't finish reading it. Decoder hashing, okay.
Hash. In addition to its encoding/decoding functionality, decoder also offers the ability to generate hash sums for our data. Theory hashing is a one-way process that transforms data into a unique signature. For a function to qualify as a hashing algorithm, the output it generates must be irreversible. A proficient hashing algorithm ensures that every data input will generate a completely unique hash. For instance, using the MD5 algorithm to produce a hash sum for the text MD5 sum returns 4AE1A02-5BD02A5515F583F4FCA5E8C.
You ain't gotta say the whole goddamn thing. Yeah, that's right.
Note: the MD5 algorithm is deprecated and should not be used for contemporary applications. Moreover, hashes are used to securely store passwords since the one-way hashing process makes the passwords relatively secure, even if the database is compromised. When a user creates a password, the application hashes and stores it. During login, the application hashes the submitted password and compares it against the stored hash. If they match, the password is correct. Using this method, an application never needs to store the original, plain text.
You motherfucker. I can't decode. I don't understand. I still don't understand how hash works because it's not an encryption. Hmm. I think I would turn a whole cow into a hamburger. You can't turn a hamburger back into a cow. Yeah, this is a good idea.
Therefore, hashes are commonly used to verify the integrity of files and documents, as even a tiny alteration to the file significantly changes the hash sum. Note, the MD5 algorithm is deprecated and should not be used for contemporary applications. Moreover, hashes are used to securely store passwords since the one-way hashing process makes the passwords relatively secure, even if the database is compromised. When a user creates a password, the application hashes and stores it. During login, the application hashes the submitted password and compares it against the stored hash. If they match, the password is correct. Using this method, an application never needs to store the original, plain text, password. Hashing in decoder allows us to create hash sums for data directly within Burp Suite. It operates similarly to the encoding/decoding options we discussed earlier. Specifically, we click on the hash drop-down menu and select an algorithm from the list. Note, this list is significantly longer than the encoding/decoding algorithms. It's worth scrolling through to see the many available hashing algorithms. Continuing with our earlier example, let's enter MD5 sum into the input box, then scroll down the list until we find MD5. Applying this automatically takes us into the hex view. A hashing algorithm's output does not yield pure ASCII/Unicode text. Hence, it's customary to convert the algorithm's output into a hexadecimal string. This is the hash form you might be familiar with. Let's complete this by applying an ASCII hex encoding to the hash sum to create the neat hex string from our initial example. Here's the full process.
How am I supposed to copy that? You know? Okay, there we go. That makes more sense. I was like, man, I don't know. Come on, motherfucker. I know that's it. What the fuck did I just do? That's not it. Nope, not that one either. With key 3. I'm not gonna go through all that. I know how to find an answer, and that's all that matters.
Comparator, as the name implies, lets us compare two pieces of data, either by ASCII words or by bytes. Let's first check out the interface.
I'm tired, man. 6 rooms, fuck you. I don't got no way I could have 6 rooms. Why the fuck are y'all on that weird shit? Let's spit this out. What are you doing, Toothless? What are you doing? See how there's a cat in my lap? I'm gonna keep this.
The interface can be divided into 3 main sections. On the left, we see the items to be compared. When we load data into comparator, it appears as rows in these tables. We select 2 data sets to compare. On the upper right, we have options for pasting data from the clipboard, paste, loading data from a file, load, removing the current row, remove, and clearing all data sets, clear. Lastly, on the lower right, we can choose to compare our data sets by either words or bytes. It doesn't matter which of these buttons you select initially because this can be changed later. These are the buttons we click when we're ready to compare the selected data. Just like most Burp Suite modules, we can also load data into comparator.
He's coughing. You okay, Toothless? It reminds me of that video of the cat coughing. Where's the video?
Well, they give me all kinds of people say I'm crazy. Doing what I do.
Why is that so funny? Why is Why is that so funny? Why is that so funny? I don't get why that's so funny. That's what you remind me of, Toothless. We can also load data compare.
This window also has 3 distinct sections. The compared data occupies most of the window. It can be viewed in either text or hex format. The initial format depends on whether we chose to compare by words or bytes in the previous window, but this can be overridden by using the buttons above the comparison boxes. The comparison key is at the bottom left, showing which colors represent modified, deleted, and added data between the 2 data sets. The Sync Views checkbox is at the bottom right of the window. When selected, it ensures that both sets of data will sync formats. In other words, if you change one of them into hex view, the other will adjust to match. The window title displays the total number of differences found.
Nothing.
We now know what comparer does, but how is this useful? There are many situations where being able to quickly compare two, potentially very large, pieces of data can come in handy. For example, when performing a login brute force or credential stuffing attack with Intruder, you may wish to compare two responses with different lengths to see where the differences lie and whether the differences indicate a successful login.
I'm wearing this mouse out, boy. I think that's what I got now. M915. One review. There's software for it? Fuck, I didn't care about any of that. So I just use my mouse. Try logging with an invalid username, password, capture request. Okay, fuck. I'm just tired. Send a repeater. Okay, hang on, I gotta watch, see what. Send, that's what I thought. And send to compare. See, He's just trying to get comfortable. No. It's not working. God, this VM is slow. What's going on? I can see a bunch of differences. One's successful, one's not. Sequencer. You motherfucker. You have no tickets. I have a day off.
Sequencer allows us to evaluate the entropy, or randomness, of tokens. Tokens are strings used to identify something and should ideally be generated in a cryptographically secure manner. These tokens could be session cookies or cross-site request forgery, CSRF, tokens used to protect form submissions. If these tokens aren't generated securely, then, in theory, we could predict upcoming token values. The implications could be substantial, for instance, if the token in question is used for password resets. Let's start by looking at the sequencer interface. We have two main ways to perform token analysis with sequencer: live capture. This is the more common method and is the default subtab for sequencer. Live capture lets us pass a request that will generate a token to sequencer for analysis. For instance, we might want to pass a post request to a login endpoint to sequencer, knowing that the server will respond with a cookie. With the request passed in, we can instruct sequencer to start a live capture. It will then automatically make the same request thousands of times, storing the generated token samples for analysis. After collecting enough samples, we stop the sequencer and allow it to analyze the captured tokens.
This thing is pissing me off. I know it's cookies. The password answer is cookies. It's gotta be. It's not cookies? Is it not? What the fuck's the answer? Is it not cookies?
We have two main ways to perform token analysis with sequencer: live capture. This is the more common method and is the default subtab for sequencer. Live capture lets us pass a request that will generate a token to sequencer for analysis. For instance, we might want to pass a post request to a login endpoint to sequencer, knowing that the server will respond with a cookie. With the request passed in, we can instruct sequencer to start a live capture. It will then automatically make the same request thousands of times, storing the generated token samples for analysis. After collecting enough samples, we stop the sequencer and allow it to analyze the captured tokens. Manual load. This allows us to load a list of pre-generated token samples directly into sequencer for analysis. Using manual load means we don't need to make thousands of requests to our target, which can be noisy and resource intensive. However, it does require that we have a large list of pre-generated tokens. We will be focusing on live captures in this room.
I don't know what the answer is. If it's not cookies or tokens, then... Entropy? What the fuck kind of answer is that? It's not even a fucking real answer. There's a session cookie. Where's that login token at? 0B. Where the fuck's the login token? fuck you got the goddamn, where you got the login token from? Whatever.
In this situation, we can safely leave all other options at their default values. So, click on the Start Live Capture button. A new window will pop up indicating that a live capture is in progress and displaying the number of tokens captured so far. Wait until a sufficient number of tokens are captured, approximately 10,000 should suffice. The more tokens we have, the more precise our analysis will be. Once around 10,000 tokens are captured, click on Pause and then select the Analyze Now button.
Alright.
It's important to note that we could have also chosen to stop the capture. However, by opting to pause, we keep the option to resume the capture later if the report doesn't have enough samples to accurately calculate the token's entropy. If we wished for periodic updates on the analysis, we could have also selected the Auto Analyze checkbox. This option tells Burp to perform the entropy analysis after every 2,000 requests, providing frequent updates that will become increasingly accurate as more samples are loaded into Sequencer. At this point, it's also worth noting that we could choose to copy or save the captured tokens for further analysis at a later time. Upon clicking the Analyze Now button, Burp will analyze the token's entropy and generate a report.
Overall quality, oh, very good. I got very good. I don't know. Oh, Lance said very good. Lance is very good, so whatever. Still says very good. Oh, excellent.
Overall result, this gives a broad assessment of the security of the token generation mechanism. In this case, the level of entropy indicates that the tokens are likely securely generated. Effective entropy, this measures the randomness of the tokens. The effective entropy of 117 bits is relatively high, indicating that the tokens are sufficiently random and, therefore, secure against prediction or brute force attacks. Reliability, the significance level of 1% implies that there is 99% confidence in the accuracy of the results. This level of confidence is quite high, providing assurance in the accuracy of the effective entropy estimation. Sample, this provides details about the token samples analyzed during the entropy testing process, including the number of tokens and their characteristics. While the summary report often provides enough information to assess the security of the token generation process, it's important to remember that further investigation may be necessary in some cases. The character level and bit level analysis can provide more detailed insights into the randomness of the tokens, especially when the summary results raise potential concerns. While the entropy report can provide a strong indicator of the security of the token generation mechanism, there needs to be more definitive proof. Other factors could also impact the security of the tokens, and the nature of probability and statistics means there's always a degree of uncertainty. That said, an effective entropy of 117 bits with a significance level of 1% suggests a robustly secure token generation process. The Organizer module of Burp Suite is designed to help you store and annotate copies of HTTP requests that you may want to revisit later. This tool can be particularly useful for organizing your penetration testing workflow. Here are some of its key features. You can store requests that you want to investigate later, save requests that you've already identified as interesting, or save requests that you want to add to a report later. You can send HTTP requests to Burp Organizer from other Burp modules such as Proxy or Repeater. You can do this by right-clicking the request and selecting Send to Organizer or using the default hotkey Ctrl+O. Each HTTP request that you send to Organizer is a read-only copy of the original request saved at the point you sent it to Organizer. Requests are stored in a table, which contains columns such as the request index number, the time the request was made, workflow status, Burp tool that the request was sent from, HTTP method, server host name, URL file path, URL query string, number of parameters in the request, HTTP status code of the response, length of the response in bytes, and any notes that you have made. Congratulations on completing the Burp Suite Other Modules room. To summarize, Decoder allows you to encode and decode data, making it easier to read and understand the information being transferred. Comparer enables you to spot differences between two data sets, which can be pivotal in identifying vulnerabilities or anomalies. Sequencer helps in performing entropy analysis on tokens, providing insights into the randomness of their generation and, consequently, their security level. Organizer enables you to store and annotate copies of HTTP requests that you may want to revisit later.
Done that, so tomorrow we'll do another one. really taking forever, huh? She seems like she's frustrated. So tomorrow we'll do extensions. Alright, well, good night, guys.